Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Midwestern Goodbye, the only podcast that accurately recreates those midnight discussions you had with your friends just when you're getting ready to leave. 'Cause sometimes they ask the age old question, which one is better, Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask? So, as always, I am your host, Alex, and I am joined by two prostitutes who will do anything for a $5 and a ham sandwich. The first one is Other Alex.
So about your Zelda thing, just real quick. Objectively, both
And
of those
the
are the
other
incorrect
one is
answer.
Dan.
No. That is
I
the
get a
incorrect
turkey
answer.
sandwich instead.
No, actually, sorry. We only have ham available.
Damn. Okay, I guess.
Wind Waker is superior. I will die on that hill.
And die you shall.
Okay, all right. I didn't know that we were those kinds of prostitutes. I got killed.
I mean, honestly, and this is probably going to immediately out me. I don't think I've ever really played a Zelda game, so I honestly have no opinion.
I feel like I was just stabbed in the heart personally
Yeah.
by you and your words.
I've only played two.
I don't know why. It's legitimately never been a game that I've owned, so never played it.
You have a PC, you can emulate it, do that.
That's a lot of work.
What is it? I played the one on the Switch.
Breath of the Wild is good.
Where you fight Ganon. I didn't beat it.
Well, you fight Ganon in pretty much all of them.
And then yep, true. And then I've played the one that you got for free on the DS. It's like Four Swords or something.
Free on the DS.
Yeah, there was one you could play on the DS for free.
It's a 4-player co-op Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
Then I guess that is Four Sword Adventure, but that was a GBA game. That wasn't a DS game.
Oh, they just gave it to you for free. I imagine that it was an older game.
I don't remember that. Okay.
I never beat that game either.
Yeah, I've never beaten Four Swords Adventure. I've never beat a majority of the spin-off games that they put on handhelds, Phantom Hourglass, Spirit
Most
Tracks.
of my experience from The Legend of Zelda comes from fan fiction.
That's your experience with most things, though.
No, other things I know a lot about the stuff, and then I watch fan fiction or read fan fiction of it.
Why are you reading fan fiction about The Legend of Zelda?
I didn't intentionally.
Universe with a lot of lore.
It was actually Ruby fan fiction, or they just threw Legend of Zelda stuff in it.
Look, the lore of Zelda, of The Legend of Zelda, is basically some poor sap, and yes, now I see why it's Ruby related. Some poor idiot got trapped in a never-ending loop where he keeps getting reincarnated, and he's got to fight some fucking, Hawaiian roast pig every time because Zelda apparently can't fend for herself and keeps getting her ass captured or beaten.
It's like the immortal
Triforce.
It's like the immortal enemy Ganon if you switched it with Salem and then switched the blonde Link for Jean. It would make a perfect show, fan fiction. It didn't, but
why did you just ruin Zelda for me?
I mean, yeah, if you really think about it, Zelda has a very similar plot to the plot of Ozpin and Salem.
Yeah, it really does.
I mean, I have to imagine that some parallels may have been made from that.
The difference is that Zelda still Link still believes in his gods.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he gets power from them and the fairies.
Yep.
Big fairies.
Well, in Breath of the Wild, they're big. In Wind Waker and Twilight Princess and Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, they're all pretty small.
Oh, I know. They're like the little Navi fairy things, but it threw me for a loop when I saw the big old fairies.
Oh, the ones with quadruple D titties?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, you could just crush Ganon with that. What do I gotta fight?
Well, I mean, I also just want to throw this out there for everybody. Canonically, one of Link's lives, he was a furry. Just wanted to let everybody know that.
Yeah, I know.
You can say anything you want, but he was a furry. He had a fursona.
Even isn't there either? There's even a canonical version of him that fucks. I think
there's a canonical cross-dressing one.
Yeah, there was.
That's everyone's favorite, so that's okay.
I got exactly to that part in Breath of the Wild so that I could have him wear lady clothes.
That's all. Why would you just make that your goal in the game? Like, hey, you
That was
played the
my
game,
goal.
sure, but like, why was that your goal?
That was my goal.
So
And I
that-
stopped playing after that.
So that when I read the the doujinshi, I have context.
No, I never did that.
When Link takes a dick, I mean, I want to know why he's taking a dick.
I don't want to think about this.
Yep. When he seduces Ganon instead of fighting him, I need to know why.
Ganon, what are you talking about? Everyone that I've ever seen is he's getting fucked by the basically the tribe that he has to cross dress to get into.
Barbarossa or whatever.
Yeah, those, whatever. I don't know. They're giant, muscular women. I can't
Yeah.
imagine how that one got popular.
They're Ganon's people. Woo. They're so tall. It's so like at least like from Link's perspective, they are so tall.
Big sword women? Who would have guessed?
Yeah. Clearly, the internet doesn't like giant women.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, like God, the main hero from there, like Urbosa or whatever, she's taller than me. Like they're big ladies. She's like 6'7".
Yeah, they're like Amazonian women.
I'm like, damn, them some big ladies.
Amazonian.
Speaking
Yes.
of, actually, I got funny if we mentioned that. I was talking to my coworker, and I work at a high school, so one of the students' last names was Brannigan, and I'm like, that is a really funny last name, and most of the kids here probably wouldn't even understand that. So we just started quoting Captain Zap Brannigan from Futurama, and somehow we got onto the Death by Snoo Snoo episode.
Great episode.
That is a fantastic episode.
See, at the beginning, that would seem like a fun way to die, and then it would probably get not fun very fast.
Well, I mean, as Captain Zap Brannigan said, the body is willing, or the spirit is willing, but the body is fleshy and bruised.
Yep. Just like,
I mean, it might actually be from that episode, maybe not. It's whenever he, Kif, Leela, and Amy go on like the double date, and he just takes over the restaurant. And he's like, she flies like a steakhouse, but she handles like a bistro.
That is my favorite quote.
He is filled with just so many amazing quotes. I have been diagnosed with a very sexy disorder. What do I call it, Kif? Sexlexia.
Oh, what was? It was Kif, alert the men. I've made it with a woman.
I've thought about him and so much that I've like, if I ever cosplay, I feel like I'd want to cosplay Zach Brannigan just so I could say all of his lines.
Oh, that'd be really funny.
I'm like, that'd be the perfect cosplay.
But the question is, which outfit would you go in? He's so fashionable.
With the shortest skirt. Just like showing the most. I think I've seen him in like a really long shirt that just barely covers him.
Oh,
I'm gonna do that.
100%.
I mean, if I'm not showing off my beautiful cake, man, what's the point?
True.
I feel like that's why everyone cosplays.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The one time I cosplayed, it was wearing my dead mouse helmet.
All right,
that's not a bad one.
Another topic, something I wanted to bring up. That me and you, Alex, talked about the other day. So I wanted to get other Alex's opinion on it.
I'm afraid.
I don't remember if I told you the whole thing. I told you some of it. All right. So one of my employees quit 2 days ago, and I had to go in early to, cover the shift. And he had quit. I don't remember if I told you this part. He had quit because his father told him 2 weeks prior to quit the job and go back to college, or he was going to kick him out.
Yep.
And the child decided not to quit, and then his dad kicked him out. And he's like, okay, I have to go move in with family, like, forever away. So now I have to, not work here anymore. And I want your perspective on this. What do you think about that?
So, but is the guy part-time? Is it a full-time thing? Like,
it's full-time.
Then I'm not sure. How old
He's
is
also 19.
Okay, no, that dad is fucking insane. Then the kid was working a full-time job instead of going to school. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
He had dropped out of school prior. I left that part out. My bad.
He had dropped out, but what was he even going for?
I don't know, but he was on a football scholarship, so and I don't know if it covered the whole thing
That
or if the
means
dad paid the rest out of pocket, but
that means he was either going for a business degree or a physical therapy degree.
Yeah.
Because
So-
that is basically like the two major ones, at least in my experience.
Yeah, I would agree with that assessment. Yeah, I mean, school's not for everyone. As someone who just graduated, I feel like it was a giant waste of time and money. Google did 2/3 my degree. Hell, I had my friend come over and take 2 finals for me during COVID just because I didn't understand the material and it wasn't taught in a way that was conducive to the way I learn.
oh yeah, honestly, I think college is pointless for the most part because most jobs you could just get on the job training. You don't really need school for it.
Yeah.
Sure, there are very specific things like being a doctor, but like pretty much anything else, you really don't need it.
Mm.
Feel
Yeah.
like even being a lawyer, you get way more experience just being a paralegal than you ever do in the classroom. Don't know for certain, not a lawyer, but I feel like
Yeah,
most
sure,
jobs.
but so the difference there is very much the same reason why you can't just get experience as a doctor is because a lot of it isn't. I mean, anyone, yes, could get in front of a judge and argue. That's something that anybody can do. The difference is that what you're talking about is necessary knowledge versus, what a lot of college teaches, which is general knowledge, just stuff that
Mhm.
sure it may come in handy, but we're
I mean,
mostly just teaching you this so that you know it.
Is it like a doctor? Do you have or like a doctor where you don't have to go to medical school and you could just pass the board and then you're a doctor, or do you
It
have to
is.
go?
No,
It
so
is.
what the thing with medical school and I think law school and everything is you need to pass an exam before you're even admitted into the school. You still need to go all the way through medical school and everything, but I know for
Once you
doctors and stuff you have to pass a test called the MCAT.
Well, yeah, but if you pass the MCAT, you could take it without going to school. Like
Yeah,
that's what
yeah.
doctors from other
I can go take
countries
the MCAT
do.
right now.
Yeah, but like, would you still need to go to medical school?
Yes.
Like,
You need a medical degree to practice medicine, at least, at a level recognized by institutions.
Weird.
But if you
I
want to be a
mean,
doctor without all the fancy schooling, just go be a chiropractor. They'll give you that shit in a weekend.
I mean, look, and for lawyers, it's very much a thing of, and again, it's kind of very similar to doctors, which I assume is why they're put kind of in the same thing.
Yeah.
Is it's not about your ability to react. It's not about your ability to respond to circumstances. It is just how much raw knowledge do you have, Because, yeah, I mean, theoretically, you could pass the bar, right? But if you don't know anything about like legal practice, if you don't know anything about like precedent or anything like that, you're going to run into a situation where you're just like, I don't know what to do here. There's only so much you can argue just based off of common knowledge before it runs out.
Right.
Well, I mean,
and with a doctor, it's the same thing. Like, yes, could you be trained? I mean, essentially like a nurse to be able to do all the procedures and things like that. By the way, nurses are incredibly important to the medical system, and they should be treated better.
yep.
I mean, every
but-
worker everywhere should be treated better. Let's just get that out of the way.
Except the hot dog vendors.
No,
But anyway.
I treat people who give me food very well because
But
they can very easily spit in it.
Anyway, the thing is that the most important thing about a doctor is also the ability to diagnose. And if you don't know illnesses, what symptoms are, common with XYZ.
Well, yeah, but what I mean is like I feel like even doctors and lawyers, I feel like you'd be better off being an intern there and getting that hands-on experience that then go for 4 years instead of going to 4 years of school and then 4 years of grad school or whatever the hell else they do, the specialized training.
What you're not
sure.
what we haven't even talked about is you don't necessarily need an undergrad degree to go to medical school, but to go to medical school, they want to see some sort of other schooling. It's a school you still need to apply for, and they can reject you even if you pass the MCAT.
That's just what I mean.
You need the credentials to back it up.
I feel
4
like
years of working in a clinic as opposed to 4 years at an institution that feeds into the medical school are going to look vastly different to the admitting.
I'm just like,
the people who admit you.
If it's 8 years of college to be a doctor, I feel like you'd be better off just doing 8 years as an intern already at a teaching.
You're not going to get the piece
hospital.
of paper.
Also, it's not 8 years. It's not 8 years to be a doctor.
It's more.
It is 8 years to graduate, and then you get to do your residency.
Yeah. Yep. Basically, what I'm saying is like instead of the 8 years of school at a school, it's 8 years at a hospital.
So what a lot of them do is they work in, like smaller clinics and stuff while they're in college and medical school to get the experience while they're in school to get the credentials to go to medical school. I mean, they're doing it all at the same time.
Yeah.
Look, practical experience is, of course, extremely important, which is why the residency program exists. However, if you do not have the book smarts to back it up, like, all you really are is a guy who happens to know, how to do some procedures.
Yeah.
True.
But if a guy, okay, so here's a great example. If a guy comes in with a cough and, a runny nose and whatever, right? A normal person would be like, oh, you have a cold. And even someone who has experience in a hospital but no actual medical knowledge would say, he probably has a cold. Here's some, whatever, antihistamines or, whatever you end up giving people for that. Cold medicine. But the difference is that a doctor might say, okay, but I also noticed that you have this symptom as well. A discoloration, an itch, whatever. Something that most people might ignore because they're literally not trained to look for extra symptoms. And so you might give him that medicine, and then it turns out, oh, actually he had, magic disease number 4, and he needed this medication. Otherwise, it spreads to the liver, and now he's dead. I don't know.
Right. Or there's also the chance you could give him a medication that interacts with another potential medication someone's on, and there's adverse reactions that way.
Yes, that's a very important one. You do need to know what medications do.
Yeah.
You can be taught to give people medications, when they have like a certain diagnosis. But yeah, there's also that very important question of what other medication are you on?
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know how they react, you will kill someone.
100%.
Yep. That's a thing that you should also tell your doctors to look at, because they don't always do that either.
And also, just to be clear, I do kind of agree with you, because probably one of the most telling things about it is the fact that just because you get to the residency does not mean that you personally are built to be a doctor.
Oh, yeah. I think half of them drop out.
Yes. Mind you, shout out to Scrubs for being the best, because this is like where most of my knowledge is coming from. So if it's wrong, blame Zach Braff. But, I mean, I assume just like with lawyers who do internships at law offices, it is not an easy job, especially for the medical profession, because at least with the lawyer, it's like, oh, we lost the case, as long as it's not something personal, like, oh no, McDonald's had to pay $4 million to someone because they're shitty. Instead, it's like, oh no, this mother of 3 died, and now her kids, don't have a mom.
But the thing is, that happens in residency too, like a lot.
Yes.
And a lot of people drop out of their residencies because they can't hack it. I know I personally wouldn't be able to. That's why I didn't even bother. It wasn't even a thought in my mind, like, oh yeah, I'm going to go be a doctor. Absolutely not.
I wouldn't mind the blood or maybe accidentally killing somebody, but I would never want to read all those books and stay up to date like they have to.
Yeah.
Because they have to constantly read studies, if they're good doctors, and constantly be on the top of shit.
You could always pull a Doug and just become a mortuary. A mortician.
Thought about it. You also have to get a medical license for that too, and that's way too much school.
Do you, to be a mortician?
Yep, you need a medical license. Unless you are in a state where they just appoint them, and then you have no degree, and you just are.
I'm going to Google that one.
Well,
there's
you also have to... You also have to do what is it?
There are states where they in places where they appoint them just like they do like a sheriff. Like you don't have to have any prior experience. Might not be called a mortician. It's probably a different name, but same shit.
I mean, I'm also talking about most morticians have to go through an apprenticeship. So it's a lot, no matter what.
Oh yeah, it's just if I was going to go through medical school, I wouldn't be a mortician only because you make less money.
But you also have to do a lot less.
Yeah, but I feel like if I'm going to go $200,000 in debt, I'd want to at least make good money.
I would be surprised if it costs that much to ever become a mortician.
No, I think you have to take these the exact same courses as a doctor.
Absolutely not. You need an associate's degree in mortuary science. That's it.
And what's the other one that's not a mortician? What am I thinking of? Oh no, the mortician is the guy who works at
also. Let's just be very clear. Home. The salaries of funeral director and morticians in the U.S. range from $102,000 to $140,000.
Most people don't want to work with dead people. It's a very niche market. Of course, it's going to pay well. There's not a lot of demand for those jobs.
I mean, damn, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, and there you go. You can go be a mortician. It's pretty easy to do.
See, there you go, now.
I'm not thinking of a mortician. What am I thinking of? Because a mortician is the person who works at the funeral home.
Funeral director?
No, who am I thinking of? It's not a mortician. They're the people who do autopsies.
Pathologist.
Yeah, they're the people who do autopsies on dead people.
I'm pretty sure that's a pathologist.
I can't remember what they're called. Shit. Oh, well, I don't remember.
Yes, a pathologist is a medical healthcare profession or a medical healthcare provider who examines bodies and body tissue.
The coroner.
Coroner. That's what it is.
Yeah, a pathologist is not at all what you were thinking of.
Yep, I was incorrect.
God damn it! I'm like, oh well. We're past that now.
And even then, they just investigate violent, sudden, or suspicious deaths.
Mm-hmm. That's who I was thinking of.
And I also don't think, that's a public official appointed or elected.
Yeah, that's the one. That's why I was like, you don't even technically have to go to school in some places.
Yeah,
right.
Which is a bad thing.
Well, I mean, that's really just for like the police, And again, they're usually probably not going to appoint Doug, from Home Depot. They're going to be like, oh, hey.
You'd be surprised. I watched a whole thing about this. Even John Oliver has a thing about him. Like some places, they just appoint random people, or they'll be like, "Oh, I'll just appoint an old sheriff who has no medical experience to declare how this person died."
It's because they're in a town of 8 people, and no one ever dies there.
It should be illegal. No, they've done it in bigger towns where they've put in like retired sheriffs. And then the retired sheriff will be like, "Oh, okay, so this guy clearly died of these things," and like he'll give evidence and stuff to police officers, which they are not supposed to do. They are supposed to be 2 completely separate things.
Nothing is separate in this country anymore.
Oh no, I'm just saying it doesn't work like the TV shows. The police don't go down to the medical examiner's office. That's not a real thing because they need to be objective. Because if the police keep telling them stuff, they're going to find evidence that doesn't exist. At least they shouldn't. But, this is America.
Yep. That's great, isn't it? America, the country where the White House roasts politicians on Twitter.
Yeah. Good job, White House.
Hey, man. They did it under Trump. Why not now?
No,
Trump did it all himself.
Yeah, that was just Trump using Trump's Twitter account.
I'm just saying, the bar is fallen so low for like what public offices should and shouldn't do. Who cares anymore? At least they're roasting like the right people this time.
I mean, we elected Joe Biden as president. We're really scraping the bottom of the barrel there.
Oh yeah, I mean, we all knew Bernie Sanders was never
Sanders.
going to be president.
Yeah,
I wanted Bernie
unfortunately.
Sanders.
Oh, I
So
would have
did
loved
I.
him, but he's too left leaning. The centrist of the Democratic Party will never let him in.
Which is
Yeah.
funny because Bernie being super far left here, he'd be a centrist in any European country.
Yeah,
That's how far right our politics lean. Even the
That's-
left is like right in most European countries.
You'd be surprised now. They're having fucking right wing movements and stuff of late. It's
Yes,
Fascism
because
is on
of
the rise.
America.
Yep.
yeah, we're fucking up the world.
Luckily, freaking Ukraine came out of nowhere and was like, "We'll be the hero the world needs."
Yeah, Ukraine's actually fighting back real hard right now, and Zelensky just said that we're not stopping with just pushing Russia out. We're taking fucking Crimea back.
I hope they do. I'm all game for it.
I'm not even kidding. I think at this point it is fair game because clearly Russia can't fucking stop them.
Oh god, no.
Just go right to Moscow. Just literally take it. Who's going to stop you? Russia? No, they're not. What are they going to stop you with? They have they have garden hose at this point.
Yeah, right. Their army, by every definition, has literally been decimated.
Yep.
The
You gotta
motherfuckers-
keep fucking drafting to get more people to go. That's a problem.
Yeah, which by the way, Putin just expanded the basically the kind of whatever you want to call it, like draft.
Oh, the conscription?
Yeah. So he's pushing for more troops now.
Yeah, what's the age bracket they're in? Are they over 40 yet?
Yeah, no, 100%. They're already
fucked then.
They're already taking volunteers who are 40 plus. So yeah, no, they're done.
Yeah, no, you've already gone through your entire stock of young, healthy individuals.
Yeah, and then there was literally one just recently. Russia is pulling all of its fighter jets out of Crimea after a series of strikes on its military outposts there. Like,
yo, let's go.
Like, just to be 100% clear, I mean, it was supposed to be one of the three major powers of the world, and they are getting absolutely totalitarily decimated by a country comparatively the size of a quarter.
Yeah.
Like, that's insanity. And
What happens when you have the entirety of NATO backing them from the wings?
The funny thing is, they were beating ass without NATO.
Well, no, they were using all. No, they really needed the stuff that we gave them. Without our stuff, I don't think they would have won.
Of course, I mean, yes, the NATO stuff did, but let's just be clear: they were pushing back without any of the NATO aid at first. That is
true. That's true.
Absolutely incredible. And mind you, before the NATO stuff, a lot of their equipment was stuff that they were stealing from the Russians, including tanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. They ran out of gas. Just leave it in the street. Keep moving.
That's literally what they did.
I remember seeing fucking Ukrainian farmers with their tractors just stealing tanks.
Yeah, that was awesome. I mean, good for them. I'm so glad that. I mean, it's so funny because people think just because of American history that the next great leader is going to come out of America, right? It's going to be another Martin Luther King Jr. It's going to be another, who was president during World War II? FDR?
Eisenhower? No, not Eisenhower.
Was it FDR?
Might have been. I don't know.
Yep.
No,
Eisenhower
FDR was
the
during
Supreme Commander.
the Depression, right?
Let's see. WW2 American president.
Man, we should know it too because this is
No,
the guy.
I think you're right. I think it is
dropped the
FDR.
nukes.
Like most Americans, I don't actually care about history. Yep, FDR and then Truman.
Yeah,
There we go.
right, Truman.
So, I mean, look, like, maybe not FDR, but Roosevelt, I think, right? Who was the talk
one?
softly, walk with a big stick?
Theodore.
Yeah, Theodore Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt, like that man. Oof. Oof. Take me, Teddy.
He grew up with Native Americans. That was really weird when I knew that. They taught him how to hunt and like skin animals and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Interesting.
He has a really cool backstory. Don't look too hard. I bet you'll find out fucked up shit because he was from a long time ago.
Of course.
But objectively, really cool.
So Night at the Museum was a documentary, not a fictional piece. Got it.
Kind of.
No, I mean, legitimately, he is probably the most down-to-earth, like, normal person And even then, he's not normal. It's just he's a man of the earth.
Yeah. Also a man that got shot during a speech and just kept on giving the fucking speech.
Yeah. Which again, I mean, like, to give credit, we've had a lot of presidents like that, because there was also, I think it was FDR. Wasn't he the one who had, what was it, polio?
Polio.
I mean, the man would literally, for the longest time, nobody knew he had polio, because he would just get up, stand, do speeches while supporting his entire body weight on his arms on the podium. And his enemies had no idea. And he was like, oh, I did that because I didn't want to look weak. He's strong. And it's like, my guy, you can't walk. How did you pretend to walk? And he's like, well,
I mean, God, Grover Cleveland, he had like cancer, I think, in his brain. I don't remember where specifically, but he didn't want anyone to know. So he had surgery on a boat to get it removed, so nobody would know about it, and they kept that secret for years. And that was in like 1890 something. Like, he was a president a long, long time ago. This motherfucker's like, doctors suck now, but I'm gonna trust them to do surgery on me on a boat so that the people don't know and think I'm weak.
Right. I mean, look, unfortunately, America has not exactly had the greatest string of recent presidents.
It's been all downhill since, what was it, Reagan? Yeah.
I mean, I gotta give
Reagan.
Bush some credit. Not a great guy, but he did keep a country that was like freaking out over a terrorist attack in line. Did it by going to war with the wrong people.
Yeah.
But he still, like, just how Rudy Giuliani kept New York together because he was the mayor. Terrible person, but he did a good job.
God, imagine being Rudy Giuliani and going from America's favorite mayor to some fucking Trump ghoul.
He was Time Person of the Year, I think, like 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
Look, what you can say about Bush is that he saved at least 3 Brazilian people.
That's one of my favorite things.
For those of you who don't know, President W. Bush, he was given essentially like a very classified report updating him about a situation in Brazil. And I believe, what was the quote? It was like 5 Brazilian people or something like that were killed. And Bush legitimately said, how many's a Brazilian?
Yep.
Yeah.
Not the brightest man, unfortunately.
The man had a turnip in his brain, but you know what? He was a damn good cheerleader.
Yeah, up until, Trump, I could say even our worst presidents have some redeeming qualities or have done something like good, but can't think of one for him. Like, even though, in my opinion, Obama was a average, maybe less than average president, he still did some good things.
Yeah, Obama was fine. I wouldn't say he was, some giant, beacon of shining light for this country.
He did okay with the healthcare thing. He killed Osama bin Laden or whatever, and a bunch of people. But
he got us out of 2008. He got us out of the recession.
He also drone striked a lot of babies, so it's like,
it's okay. They weren't the same color as us, so
that instantly makes it.
He's also not the same color as us.
Oh, right, of course, because he's the Antichrist, right?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, America.
But anyway, I mean, look. I think the important thing to note about Obama is the fact that he was the first black president, which means automatically he gets to go down in history, literally regardless of what he did as president.
Oh yeah.
He's in history books. Like, so congratulations, Obama. Like, good job.
Yeah. Well, when you listen to this episode, congratulations.
Exactly. He's our one viewer in the UK. By the way, shout out to the one viewer in the UK. Don't know your name, but like, why?
How did you find this?
Yeah, leave a comment. Like, explain yourself.
Go on Anchor, do the voice thing, so that the voice comment, so that we can play it live on the next one.
Or for those of you who don't know, which of course you wouldn't because we've never talked about it, we do have a YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, we probably should have mentioned that.
Yeah, we have a YouTube channel.
Leave comments.
It's Midwestern Goodbye podcast on YouTube.
Comments, questions, concerns.
The audio here.
We have a TikTok. We have nothing posted. Don't worry about it.
But I mean, like, yeah, Obama did good things. He did bad things. I don't think you're ever going to find a president who's got a 100% clean track record.
Oh God,
George Washington.
No.
No, he had a clean record as president. He did very good things for the country at the time. I'm not saying he's a good person.
Yeah, he's not. But I will always give him credit for the fact that he was. It takes a very insightful, far-thinking person to recognize the fact that, hey, if you do a two-party system, it will one day destroy America. And boy, howdy, was he right.
Oh God, yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
He also denied being king too, and that's just another point towards his insight. Like, we just got away from this. Why do we want it again?
He also
go ahead.
He just had balls of steel to rally his men. He would get on horseback and ride at the enemy, and never once got shot.
Yeah, that's what we call plot armor.
Yep.
I wish I could do that.
The writer said nothing could happen to George Washington.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, America's had a lot of big figures in terms of, I mean, obviously not just our history, because yes, of course, every American president technically has a big impact on American history, but we've had a lot of big hitters in the global scale as well. But in this case, it really does seem to be that Zelensky is, the big hitter. He's the Churchill around right now.
Oh God, absolutely, yeah.
And I could not be happier because, again, yes, he could have been someone who just kind of rolled over, which, if I'm not mistaken, his opponent actually tried to do. Like, he tried, basically, or no, actually, it was the guy who Zelensky replaced who was super fucking corrupt.
Oh yeah, the pro-Russian guy.
Yeah. He actually came back to Ukraine to help fight. He was that much like, no, hold on. I fucked over this country, but only I'm allowed to do that.
Was that the guy who was in charge of Ukraine during the whole Hunter Biden thing with the Trumps?
I believe so.
Okay, yeah, I mean, that would make sense.
I think that's the guy that that they based the TV show Zelensky was in on, of a comedian running to become president because the president was so corrupt.
Yeah.
And then fucking Zelensky went and did it.
Yeah. Which again, and that's also the important thing to note, a lot of people may not know this, but Zelensky was a professional comedian.
Oh yeah.
He had no political background except for making fun of politicians. And
honestly,
now
that probably means he knew more than most politicians.
Yeah, you're right. But yeah, I mean, my greatest respect and admiration to Zelensky. If you could do me one favor, please wait until after you're dead for terrible things to come out about you. Please.
Yeah.
We don't need that right now, bud.
Yeah, right.
Please don't be like those YouTubers who get popular and think that they can suddenly diddle children.
I mean, I'm fine if the bad things that come out about him, or is that he's given no quarter to Russian soldiers and
But he has though.
Oh, I know he
That's
has.
The crazy thing. He doesn't need to, but he keeps giving. I remember seeing a video of a Russian soldier who was captured, and they basically let him call his mom and basically not even say goodbye, but just let her know what was happening.
Yeah, they're trying to destroy Russian morale, and I bet it's working.
Oh, yeah. God, yeah. I saw a video on Reddit the other day of some guy walking up to a stage in Russia where some dude was talking. They were playing the Russian national anthem over a speaker. He just walked up on that stage, no fucks given, picked up the speaker, hucked it, and then got arrested.
Balls of steel. I will not go to a Russian prison. I'm sorry.
Oh, God, no, absolutely not. You don't come back from those. Who knows if that man will ever be seen again, but...
Mm-hmm.
I feel bad for the people who got arrested for holding up blank signs.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it feels like a lifetime ago that happened, but no, that was the thing. Ago. Yeah, people were holding up blank signs to show how absolutely scared the Russian forces were, the police and the government, because they were just arresting people because it's like, why are you holding up a sign unless you're protesting? And it's like, it's a blank sign. It could mean anything.
Right.
But no, they got arrested.
Yep, they can't look weak.
Yeah. You don't arrest people for blank signs unless you know you're losing.
Yeah. Which is crazy, because at the time, they weren't losing.
They've never been winning. They have not won a day of this war. They've been losing since they started this whole conflict.
They won two things. They took Chernobyl and that one island with a battleship that they blew up those brave dudes that told the Russians to fuck themselves.
Those guys never died, and they got Snake Island back.
Oh my god.
They were taken as POWs.
They
really? I thought they were killed.
No, that's what the story was. But yeah, they were taken as POWs, and they were actually given back in a prisoner exchange.
Awesome.
Nice. Good for them. And yeah, when they took back Snake Island, I was like, okay, war's over.
Yeah, right.
You can't lose the thing that you took in a sneak attack and still win the war.
It also just makes no fucking sense why Russia even wanted it to begin with.
It was literally I think it's because it's like a very clear channel way to get to inner parts so that they could move their naval forces in. I could be wrong.
Yes, but like from what I understood, the island itself serves no strategic it serves no strategic purposes. Because anyways, if you have battleships and destroyers and stuff in the channel, a couple guys with guns on the shore ain't gonna do anything.
I mean, yeah, that's true.
Like they can't do anything. It didn't even matter if they had javelins on them.
It's not so much that they took Snake Island. It was the fact that they destroyed the Ukrainian presence on Snake Island, which allowed them to go in.
Soldiers that were stationed there. It's not like there was much of a presence. It's not a very big island.
It's just a show force of bullshit.
I mean, what you have to understand there is that those guys were not there to repel a force. Those guys are there kind of like sentry points. Mm-hmm. It's to say, hey, enemy forces. Like no one expected them to fight off battleships.
Oh God, no.
Their job was to call in and say, hey, we're getting attacked.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Right.
So by taking Snake Island, it allows Russia to move in its forces with admittedly only slightly less ability to track their movements.
I mean, the second the guys at Snake Island were, taken prisoner or, presumed dead at the time, I'm sure they already had drones up over the sky trying to figure out where the hell the Russians were going. So it's not like it served them much good taking it other than like, hey, we got a piece of your land and some of your guys.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's all about, it doesn't seem like it in today's age where, you could just pull up a satellite image and figure out what everybody's doing at any time. But the reality is that stuff is still very important. Because, like, Ukraine, the drone stuff is still relatively new given equipment. Like, they had some, but they didn't have a ton. A lot of that is actually from what they've been given by other countries.
A lot of them are coming from, I believe, Turkey right now.
I mean, they just got, what, $800 billion from us this month, last month?
Something like that, yeah. Or no, not 800, I think it was 300 billion.
Either way, it was a lot of money.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think we've given them close to $1 trillion in stuff since the whole conflict started.
I do love how we're just casually giving them money and, like, weapons and stuff that, like, far exceeds, like, most countries' entire military budget for a year.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, we have so much extra shit, it does not matter.
We're about to give them F-16s.
Yeah.
Good.
And we're gonna train them how to fly them, I believe, in Poland. The Poles are going to give them the F-16s that we gave them in return for their, I believe, their MiG-23s. And we're going to teach them how to fly the F-16s so that they can establish even better air superiority.
They're going to destroy the shit out of the Russians in the air.
And the F-16 finally gets to do what it was designed to do, and that's to shoot down some Ruskies.
God, wait till we give them fucking... If it ever gets to it, and we're like, do you guys want 6th generation fighters? Or 5th generation fighters? Do you want, like, new shit?
I don't think we'll ever get to that point, because...
I mean, if, like, I'm talking about, like, actual World War, we're just like, alright. Allies, take the weapons you need.
I mean, honestly, the only way we get to World War III, which, God... Remember how many times back in 2020 people thought World War III was going to happen?
It might, I mean, as well. China at the beginning of this year, I was pretty convinced it was going to happen.
China's getting very brave with Taiwan lately. Like,
I mean, they got to do that after what Russia fucked up doing with
Ukraine.
I know,
I mean, but they're doing a lot of shit right on there, and we're currently sending one of our fleets over to Taiwan. Like, if anyone was going to get in a dick measuring contest with Taiwan, I thought it was going to be Trump, not.
No, Trump
Biden.
loves all the dictators. Now we finally have a president who will stand up to him.
Actually, he was pretty openly against the Chinese government. You don't
He was
get
very
to
hostile with them.
Chinese. Yeah, you don't get to say the Chinese virus without making a few enemies.
Oh, he loved North Korea and Russia.
I mean, yeah, he was the first president to meet with the North Korean leader ever, right?
Yeah, he also called him a great guy.
Yep.
Which that says a lot.
Yeah, and we also know that every time he went to Russia, he was sucking on Putin's little sausage.
Actually, Putin was probably sucking on his. That's actually
no. Putin had all the power in that relationship. He turned Trump into a submissive, breedable.
Because he had footage of Trump getting a golden shower. At least that was the speculation.
Release the tape, cowards.
But yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I would have been a lot more scared of World War III if before Russia got its ass, bongoed by Ukraine.
Oh, I'm just terrified of China.
Here's the thing.
Too many people.
Yeah, they have a lot of people. But the thing is that I was a lot more scared when Russia was on the table as a legitimate threat. But now, not so much. And quite frankly, I think that even China kind of recognizes this because, let's be real, when I feel like they were at their boldest, when Russia was at their boldest, there was a lot of, the anti-Taiwan stuff, and they're still doing it, obviously. But the thing is that at this point, it would essentially turn into them against the world again.
Mm-hmm.
They would be Germany in this situation.
Yeah.
And Germany has proven many times it doesn't matter how good your technology is. It doesn't matter how many forces you have. It doesn't matter how well you maneuver. If it's you against the entire world, it typically doesn't go well.
Yeah, you can only fight the whole world for so long. Typically about 10 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Give or take.
And don't get me wrong, World War III would be absolutely devastating.
Oh yeah.
Horrific.
I've watched things. The planet wouldn't exist anymore.
I've watched the things. We've wargamed it out with China. We would lose literally our entire fleet and a couple million soldiers.
But we'd win.
We'd win. It's like that's with us not going nuclear.
Yeah, right. I was gonna say that is purely boots on the ground, traditional warfare fighting. That's not fucking ICBMs.
Let's be 100% clear. Nukes will. I'm willing to put honest to God money on this. I believe that nukes are the type of weapon that only gets to be used one time.
I really hope you're right. Well, technically twice, but I really hope you're right.
I mean, one time in a war, basically. Because
if we decide to drop nukes, we're taking everything out because we can't give them a chance for retaliation.
Right.
Exactly.
It's not one a war after that.
Every single nuke in the world goes off. That's it.
Exactly. Because let's be real. It doesn't matter if America says to every other country, hey, we're going to launch a nuke at China. It doesn't matter. Some crazy person in some other country is going to be like, well, if he's launching nukes, I got to launch my nukes.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't tell me that the Middle East wouldn't use that as an excuse to be like, oh, we accidentally pushed the button, so now that country we don't like is gone. Israel to Palestine or Palestine to Israel.
Israel will 100% use that as an excuse to invade Palestine, even though they're already doing it.
And I'm pretty sure, what was it? Iran is saying, hey, the U.S. shut down our nuclear program, but with everything going on with Russia, we want to turn it back on.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not scared of them. Like, it'll take one night before we take them out. They're just not a threat. They just don't have the technology capable of stopping us. With all our drones and our satellites and EMPs and everything, they just literally can't stop us.
Right. I mean, look, I'm not saying that the fight with China won't be bloody, because it will be bloody.
Any war is bloody.
Well, not any war.
That's the definition of war.
No, wasn't there the war that lasted for 3 days?
That's a battle. I wouldn't call that a war.
It's historically listed as a war.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's see.
How many
what
people
was it?
died, though?
3-day war. 6-day war.
Okay.
So it was versus Arab-Israeli war. Let's see. I think it said 20,000 Arab troops were killed, while Israel lost fewer than 1,000.
So how is that not bloody?
Because that's like low numbers.
Oh, yeah,
21,000 people? That's a lot.
Oh yeah, it is, but I wouldn't say it's a lot for a war. Like we 100% lost more people than that in Afghanistan and shit, and that's like barely.
I actually don't think we've lost more than 20,000 in the entirety of Afghanistan.
We for sure killed more than 20,000.
Right, but I don't think we lost more than 20,000 here in this.
I know a lot of people. We maybe 20,000 injured, but I know a lot of people got fucking hurt.
Oh yeah.
Kind of happens when people shoot RPGs at you and fucking put bombs on the road.
Let's see what Quora has to say.
That's a font of reliable information.
If it gets its
the war between the Sicily Isles and the Netherlands, which lasted from the 30th of March 1651 to the 17th of April 1986, and in which not a single shot was fired.
Damn.
No blood. It was a bloodless war, according to
the Cold War ended with at least no reported deaths.
Yeah,
no, there was absolutely deaths. A lot of espionage deaths.
Oh yeah, that's what I said. Those weren't real though, because we denied the shit out of them at the time.
Yeah. Now I will say this. I mean, at the end of the day, obviously war is terrible. It's a tragedy. It's obvious what it is. The sad thing is that war is probably one of the best things that could happen to the world right now, because war is always preceded by huge economic growth, giant technological advances, and quite frankly, usually it leads, like most wars, leads to at least usually like 10 years of peace. Obviously, World War I to World War II is a little different, but World War II to World War III, I mean, we're on a winning streak.
I mean, World War I to World War II was decent. It was 1914 to 1931.
Like that's did you just say we're on a winning streak from World War II to whenever World War III is?
Yeah.
That's not true at all.
It's been a long time.
In Vietnam.
No, not literally a winning streak. I mean, we've been winning because there hasn't been another world war.
Oh, you're just talking World Wars. Okay.
Let's say there was fucking 3 or 4 wars between then and there.
Yeah, but I mean, like, yes, it was 21 years between WW1 and WW2.
Yes.
Which, again, pretty good.
All right, so I got the numbers in front of me, and for most of the casualties that have happened...
Oh, God. Ooh.
Between 2003 and it looks like 2014, we're not even over 7,000 total deaths.
Damn, it's a lot less than I thought.
Yeah,
couldn't even.
It's probably even less. It's probably maybe another 1,000, I would imagine, because there hasn't been a ton of fighting from 2014 to now.
Both medical, technology, everything. We just had such a huge advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was plenty of wounded. Don't get me wrong. There was plenty of wounded, but I'm just talking death numbers.
Probably 100,000 or more wounded.
No, honestly, about 50,000 wounded total between that same time period.
Still would think it would be more. Huh.
But yeah, I mean,
makes sense though.
Yeah. When you break it down, unfortunately, humanity is a warlike race. That's just the way we advance. That's the way we really see those big numbers go up.
Oh yeah.
I mean, hey, the next time you're using Google Maps, you get to thank war for having that technology. That's
you can thank the federal government for that.
Yep. Mm-hmm. The next time that you go in for any kind of medical procedure, most of what you're dealing with is because of World War II.
Yep. Thank war for your computers.
Unfortunately, mostly from the Nazis because of the horrible things they did. But yeah, we got a lot of medical knowledge out of that.
It really led to like the beginning of how to separate conjoined twins.
Yeah. So I mean, and yeah, like Dan said, computers entirely from World War II, trying to counterintelligence the Nazis and break the code, their cipher code.
GPSs literally only exist because of the military.
Yep.
I mean, hell, the fact that we still live in a pseudo-democracy, you can thank our victory in World War II.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, it sucks. It's not what you want to like realize about your race. Your not even race, as in like species. The thing about your species is that we are we like killing.
Yep.
And,
Unfortunately.
we find the best ways to do it, the most optimal ways, and then we find out even more optimal ways.
I mean, it makes sense, like biologically, like why killing feels good, and why killing things that are different than you also makes you feel good.
No,
I can't agree with that statement at all. I felt bad when I ran over a chipmunk.
I'm just saying, like biologically speaking, like killing is a good thing to your brain. That's how you survive.
It is not. Not to me.
No, I'm not to everybody. Clearly
You're
not
generalizing, and now you're not.
No, here's the thing. Obviously, killing even accidentally or, for the first time if it's a person, and again, this is according to people who have talked about it, yes, it's a very scarring thing. But the problem is that humans have a remarkable ability to just block that shit out really quick.
Our brains are too efficient sometimes.
It also has to do with kind of how people are trained specifically to block that shit out. So yeah, I mean, it's a thing where you are taught in the military, especially during war times, that killing is a good thing because it means they can't kill you.
Oh yeah, they desensitize you to it so fast because they tell you every day that you're going to kill people.
Right. It's not a thing about, humans just love killing. It's a fact that humanity's survival instinct is incredibly strong. And if you're told the only way to survive is to kill people, yes, it is a good feeling because that is the feeling of I'm alive. Yes, you're dead, but I'm alive. So,
I suppose.
Good trade, right? My life has to be more important than yours because otherwise, why did I kill you?
That's why I'm never going to put myself in that situation just because I don't want to have to even think about being responsible for something like that. The thought just doesn't sit well with me.
I mean, look, if the U.S. military at any point puts a gun to my head and says, "Hey, go to war," I'm going to war. Like again, it's survival instinct.
Depends on what the war is and who we're fighting.
Again, look, here's the thing: if we're the bad guys, I will just. Well, I'm not going to say what I would do because this is, I would totally stick with the U.S. military forces no matter what, because we're clearly always the good guys. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
No, fuck that. If we're the baddies and they give me a gun, I will take out as many of those motherfuckers before they get me. I don't care.
No, I would just surrender.
Most Americans are going to do what the Nazis did. Like, even though like it's kind of bad, it can't be as bad as everyone say it is. And that's going to be it.
Again, I would honestly just surrender because if you're the bad guys, chances are the good guys aren't going to, mistreat you. But again, the whole thing is, if it comes down to it, if there is a gun at my head, yes, I would prefer to live. If there's a way that I can get out of it where I don't have to be part of the bad guy team, yeah, I'm going to do that. But if it's a situation where basically they put an explosive collar around my neck and are like, hey, go kill people, because we say so.
Suicide Squad, yeah.
Yeah, like, I would prefer to not blow up. Like, that's just a thing. And I feel like a lot of people feel the exact same way.
Hey, for the most part, I would always fight to survive. Like,
right. And that's
depending on the situation, I would tend to agree, but
it all depends on who I'm killing. Like, if it's just go kill those soldiers, I have no problem. I don't give a shit. I don't care if they're objectively better or the good people. I'll kill them all. Now, when they start telling me to bomb innocent children, that's a problem.
Well, that's what we're already doing. So if you're doing that, you're doing both.
I'm not doing that because I'm not. They're not going to give me. They're not going to give the guy they conscripted the drones or access to any of the heavy stuff. They're totally going to put me as boots on the ground.
For you specifically, yeah. I mean, they would probably give me a drone or put me in some tech thing, but yeah.
It's only if they can trust you, because you could do a lot of. If you decided to go rebel, you could do a lot of damage with the drone.
Yep.
So they probably wouldn't
Hell, just fucking point me to where the central server is. I'll put a few bullets in it.
See, that's the reason. Like, they're gonna make us
never have access to that.
Like, they'd make us. We're conscripted soldiers. We get thrown on the front line to die as cannon fodder.
Yeah, if you're conscripted, if they're forcing you to do this war, you're not an officer. In most cases, yes.
Unless your plan is to literally just sign up so that you can do that, like a la Project Valkyrie.
Yeah, I have no problem sabotaging anything.
Again,
I am very outspoken. I do not like the way this government runs. I don't like the fact that we are a militaristic nation. I do not like police officers. None of that. I will go on the record saying all of that. I don't fucking care.
Okay, well, there's the problem right there. You do not get military, like, high-level clearance without them doing a very extensive background check. This podcast right here basically could immediately negate any chance of you getting anywhere near important stuff.
You don't get clearance codes. When you need clearance codes, they do research on you.
Yeah, whatever. We're also talking about a very hypothetical situation that'll never happen. We have such a high enlistment base that we'll never get conscripted.
It depends on the war. If it's with China, 100% we're getting conscripted. They're going to need boots.
I don't think so.
So many people are going to die.
We're going to have air superiority. We're not going to need a ton of boots on the ground because a lot of the fighting is going to be just us drone
like, they have so much ground to air and ground to sea. Like, they are literally prepared to fight us. We will still win.
I'm sorry, but we have the largest air force in the United States Air Force. We also have the second largest air force in the United States Navy. I am not concerned about that.
I agree that we have the superiority, but we will have to put boots on the ground, and that's when millions of people are going to die.
And also, just to let you know, I mean, aircraft are very powerful weapons of war. The problem is that they're also probably the most fragile of any. So, I mean, again, it's really great if you have the largest air force in the world, but anti-aircraft is exceptionally effective at shooting down aircraft before they get anywhere close. That's true. Again, I don't know anything about China's military structure. I don't know what their resources are. But yeah, like, they're also a very mountainous country. Like, you put AA turrets, like, just intermittently around, you can stop a lot of bombing runs before they ever become a problem.
I mean, their entire coast is literally made to thwart off an American invasion. Granted, like, we will be doing heavy damage. The problem comes is when we need to put boots on the ground. Because, like, up until that point, we'll take losses, but we're not going to be like, we lost 1 million people. We're going to lose a shit ton of equipment, which is fine. That's what it's there for.
Right.
But the moment we get on the ground, it's going to be like, okay, now you are now fighting a military that might not have as advanced weaponry, but they outnumber you 100 million to 1 because they will.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, what we're probably looking at is probably a inland invasion, probably from, like, India, somewhere in that region. Possibly even Russia. I mean, honest to God, considering what's happening, it's not exactly like, Russia's going to be stopping anybody anytime soon.
Yeah, we'll see. It all depends. Oh, God.
Look, what we're really waiting for is the inevitable shoe to drop, because, mind you, as always, anytime that you think that China is winning, that they're the best country right now in the world, they're not. Their people are also, like, getting tired of it.
Oh, yeah.
There are situations right now where people, when any kind of COVID diagnosis, like, is reported, they just lock down entire buildings, apartments.
They lock down entire metropolitan areas.
Right, and you cannot
let everyone into their houses.
Right. Like, that does things to people. It doesn't matter how loyal you are. And that's another thing. Again, survival instinct of humanity. Loyalty goes as far as the meal in front of you.
Yep.
If you keep the meal coming, yes, soldiers are typically very loyal. And so are citizens. When the meals stop coming, when they're forced to stay inside with their dead relatives because they can't go to a hospital or get new food, yeah, it boggles my mind every time this happens because it's the villain paradox, which is, hey, bud, you do realize that it was your actions that made the person who killed you, right? The villain creates the hero, right? I mean, hell, how many times have you read a manga where the hero's village was attacked by the demon army and he swore his life for vengeance?
Yeah, right.
It's like, hey, bruh. Listen, hey, if I was the demon lord's tactical advisor, I'd be like, okay, we're going to invade human cities. We only kill people with weapons. That's it. Everybody else, we just say, hey, you're part of our country now. Here's food. Here's resources. We good? Cool. Which, by the way, is what the Romans did.
Yeah, I was literally going to bring it up.
Very well for them.
You do what the Romans did.
Just
and then
stop making enemies as you go, right? Just be like, hey, yeah, we're in charge now. Nothing changes for you. Yeah, I'm sorry we had to kill your husband. He had a gun pointed at us. We told him to drop it, and then he didn't, so we dropped him. Sorry. Here's some money for him. It seems counterintuitive, but here's the thing. Government, the ruling class, like, who cares?
Yeah, right.
Survival instinct. Will I get food? Yes? Awesome. Let's do this. And by the way, the whole like loyalty to country thing, it basically boils down to the same reason that people like football teams or baseball teams or sports teams or anything. People have this incessant need to pick a sports team and cheer for them.
It's just
I feel like they fit in.
Or in America's case, literal indoctrination.
Yes.
Yeah, that too.
And I feel like I talked about it on this podcast a lot, but tribalism is a very dangerous thing. It's fine to root for teams, right? I myself, I'm someone who will defend Ruby, the Rooster Teeth show, like a lot. I'll defend a lot of it. However, I also recognize that Ruby has a lot of faults. It has a lot of like writing problems. Early on it had animation problems. Like, it has a lot of issues.
It turns out they were legitimately evil. I'd probably stop supporting them.
100%. I don't like anything enough to support people who do bad things. Like, here's a shout out for a very good case. Pro Jared, he's a YouTuber. I personally really like him.
I remember this, yeah.
I think he does great content. However, there was a news story that came out that allegedly he had been, basically soliciting nudes from minors, potentially even further, and also had been cheating on his wife, but they were in an open relationship. So, like, no, that's not how that works. But anyway.
Yeah, right.
During that time, I did not immediately say, man, fuck Pro Jared, he's a scumbag. I said, okay. Right now,
let's see the evidence.
Exactly. Right now, all this is just reports. So, did I unsubscribe for him from a time? Yes. Because if he was actually doing that, fuck him. Fuck him. I don't care who you are. I don't care if motherfucking Markiplier or Jacksepticeye. If I found out that either one of them were doing anything like that, instant unsubscribe. Never watch their content again. However, turns out Pro Jared wasn't. And suddenly all those people that were like, oh, kill yourself, oh, he's a monster, oh, he's a clown. Like, again, you just jumped on a nice little bandwagon, so there was a nice little tribal feel, like, oh yeah, I'm part of something bigger. Oh yeah. And then it turns out you were wrong, and it's like, well, I'm not going to admit I was wrong, because that means I'm wrong.
The only problem I had is when I heard that there were like underage people involved, because I don't give a shit if you cheat on your wife. Like, some people do or whatever, but I don't watch you because of like your relationship status and like your moral status in that regard. I don't care.
Right.
Look, cheating is terrible. It's a terrible thing.
I'll never be friends with you, but I don't really care.
It's
your own life up. Keep me out of it.
It's a personal thing. It's none of my business.
Right. You didn't commit a crime, so
the kid thing? Yeah, no, fuck that.
Yeah, that's a problem. Like,
oh, totally.
But again,
the fucking...
You'll notice all those people who were, accusing him, they aren't accusing him anymore. That's kind of weird. Pro Jared did a video about how, look, these are the actual facts. Like, I've been quiet. I haven't defended myself because I've been collecting the evidence to defend myself.
Right. And his lawyers also probably said, don't say a fucking thing.
Yeah. Yeah, he literally says that in the video. He's like,
Yeah.
my lawyer said to not respond. And that's good policy.
100%.
But yeah, I mean, like, it's a very clear example of, look, tribalism is a bad thing for the most part. Yes, you should have loyalty to things that you are part of, but you also need to be able to look and see the faults, because otherwise you either can't get out of bad situations, like cults. Cults are literally that. Cults are so designed to indoctrinate you with tribalistic tendencies that you will stay no matter what. And that's bad. Nobody likes cults, except if you're in a cult.
And even then, sometimes they don't like the cult, and they're like, why the hell am I here? And then they leave.
Don't treat your country like a religion.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to give up that religion because it's evil. Then yes, treat it like a religion.
Speaking of religion, did you hear about what's going on in Florida? What DeSantis did?
No, what do you do now?
They passed a law where, you know, if anyone donates a sign or a flag or anything that says "In God We Trust" to a school in Florida, legally they have to post it. So some glorious jackass had the bright idea to have "In God We Trust" printed on stuff in Arabic, and he's sending it to like every school in Florida. And it's going to cause a problem where they legally have to hang it, but if they don't, I think this guy can sue them.
Just to be clear, was not Florida, it was Texas.
It was, was it Texas? I thought it was Florida.
It was Texas.
Oh, okay. I got the state mixed up. So then it was what's the governor's name?
Not quite sure.
Cowboy man.
It's the guy in the wheelchair. What the hell is his name?
I wouldn't be surprised if DeSantis just immediately did it too, because he seems to be following the path of whatever Texas does.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I mean, you know, it's, again, religion is also tribalism. And I get it. Religion's a little different. Because
religion's just a cult that got big enough. That's all it is.
Yes, 100%. Well, yes and no. I mean, at the end of the day, I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with cults.
Cults are evil, always.
Yes.
So not that.
Yes.
But yes.
We have different opinions on religion, and I'll just keep it at that then.
Well, no. I think most organized religions are evil now. No. But like Buddhism is a religion, and they're not evil.
Hold on. First off, I don't think that there's necessarily a thing as an evil religion, right? It is
evil practices that people do.
Exactly. And most times it's things that people make up. So for example, I mean if you want to look at what is it? Was it the Catholics or the Christians who did the Crusades?
It was the Catholics.
Okay. So the Catholics, right? Crusades just evil.
They were horrible.
Right. However, at the same time, Catholics have done many good things. And at the end of the day, Catholicism in its actual state, like written form, is about loving thy neighbor. Do unto others as you would have done to you. Like, there's a lot of good things in that book. But the problem is that because God, whichever God you believe in, hasn't come down and said, yo, here's the law. I'm on TV. Hey, mom, you know, whoever God's mom is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's all conjecture. It's all, here's a book that maybe he had a hand in writing. Maybe he spoke through prophets. But at the end of the day, it was written by people. I could literally, if I wiped everybody's memory and I wrote into every copy of the Bible, thou shalt shit in public, like, who's going to argue with me?
Yeah, right. It's in the book.
Right. And that's the thing. Don't pray to a book, right? Books are written by people. And people are flawed, right? That's literally in your religion. That people are flawed. They make mistakes. That's why we're not in the Garden of Eden. Because some bitch decided to eat a apple, pear, pomegranate. Who knows at this point?
It was the apple, because the snake said to eat it.
Yeah, but there's also been things about how it wasn't actually an apple. It was a pear or a pomegranate. Who knows?
Well, yeah, but I'm talking just from the book.
But anyway, the point
Spook.
is that the only things that you should ever take as fact, and that's only if you can ever actually see them realistically, the Ten Commandments. According to the Bible, those were literally written by God, not through not through Moses. Nope, not Moses. Moses. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wait,
he told Moses, and Moses wrote them down.
Yes.
I thought
Moses
it was
went up
God.
to the mountain and talked to him.
No,
I thought it was a God
Moses-
inscribed them on the tablets.
no, Moses
No.
made the tablets, but
Oh,
God,
never mind.
it is God's
Don't,
word.
don't even trust the Ten Commandments then, because a human wrote them.
Yep.
He misinterpreted.
You
It
want to
says,
know?
"Thou
what you
shall
should-
kill."
You want to
Mhm.
know what you should do in every single religion, no matter
Thou
what you're
shalt covet thy neighbor's wife.
in. Be a good person. Treat others kindly.
Treat them the way you'd want to be treated, unless you're a masochist.
Right. Again, just be a good person.
Mhm.
Like, that's all religion boils down to. It is an instruction booklet for early humans on how to live, quote unquote, morally.
That's what the Ten
all it
Commandments
is.
are, because the entirety of the Bible, there's a lot of raping and killing and stuff like that you should
Right.
not take
But
into
God-
your life.
And
The
God
thing
killing
is that-
kids.
Right.
The thing is that usually those acts are punished, right? Most of the Bible is about, admittedly, people doing bad things and then getting punished for it. Sodom and Gomorrah, again,
Mhm.
an entire city of doing bad things, and
Mhm.
they got punished by God, right? And also the one woman who decided to turn around, God was like, "Well, you peaked, so no."
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, that's really what it's all about. I mean, there's a lot of conjecture that the Bible and all religious texts, they're basically just ways to trick people into surviving. The parts in the Bible that are like, hey, don't eat shellfish. That's because shellfish is usually poisonous if you don't cook it right. So yeah, dumbass, don't eat it. God says so.
What's the problem with wearing fabric of two different, or was it clothing of two different kinds of fabric? That's
Flammable.
against the Bible.
Dan,
Fire. Probably something stupid like that.
could be.
Fire.
It could be. I mean, cloth. I mean, certain types of cloth are extremely flammable. I also wouldn't be surprised if it was something where the cultivation methods, they. I mean, shit. It could literally be a thing where it's like, oh, you're producing cotton. Okay, well, those invite this type of insect, which can be devastating to crops or something.
It could easily just be that's what rich people wear, and they're evil.
Could be.
Did cotton
Again.
even exist technically back then? Was it
Yes.
able to grow in where's the setting of the Bible? Mesopotamia, somewhere in that area?
Yeah,
Middle Eastern.
yeah, because cotton is how they made clothes and stuff for a long, long time.
I thought a lot of them were wool because they had sheep.
They had wool too, but I know
It
cotton was a
Sheep
huge.
and goat skin, stuff like that.
Look, I'm not going to pretend like I know about the fashion choices of people, in the BCs before the crises.
Jesus had that drip. Let's be real. That white robe with
He did
the
drip
red
a lot of
scarf or
blood.
whatever the hell.
Yeah, that white robe with his dark, not white skin. Yeah,
It's a good contrast.
Mhm.
yeah. Jesus was Middle Eastern, by the way. Sorry, sorry, everybody. Hate to tell you this. Your poster of him where he's lifting up a Ford F-150 and his like rippling white pecs, not accurate. Sorry.
Could he have been lighter skinned? Sure. Was he white? No.
Absolutely not.
Because white people are not from the Middle East.
I would actually love to find out that Jesus was albino. He just had glowing red eyes.
That would be so funny. That's why they killed him. All the rest of it's just a bullshit lie.
Yeah,
Like,
they thought he was a
demon.
fucking demon.
Yep.
But anyway, long story short, don't dedicate your entire lives to sports teams. Think critically. Say, hey, I like this team, but that doesn't mean that they're perfect.
I thought the long run was don't dedicate your lives to your government. Thought that's what we were talking about.
Government is another.
Dedicate your lives. Oh,
Look,
sorry, go on.
Government is another version of a sports team.
Mm.
Hey, I root for the Democrats. Yeah, go Dems, go Dems. Oh wait, well, sorry, dude. I like the Republicans. I think they did really good last season. That's all it is. It's just different words for sports teams.
I hate
Your
this
religion.
sport.
Your religion.
Sickening.
Ooh. Oh, you know who my favorite quarterback is? Jesus. Oh yeah, well we have Gandhi. That's right.
Religion is just a fantasy football team.
It
You have
is.
Jesus as your quarterback. He's only a right tackle on my team.
That's all it is. I mean, shit. The difference between Christianity and Catholicism is how was Mary a cheerleader, or was she actually the manager of the team?
Christianity and Catholicism. It's how many versions of God are there? There's 3 in one, and there's only 2 in the other.
Right. Like that's all it is at the end of the day. Your religion. What God do you root for? Your government. Which political party do you root for? Right. Hell yeah, everything. D&D. People will kill each other over D&D editions.
Yes,
and it's
they
like,
will.
why? It's a bunch of it's a bunch of words that a bunch of fat nerds wrote down in books so that they could play their fat nerd games.
That's why. It's because I'm right. My edition is the best edition.
They're all wrong. Everything is wrong. You decide what's right. Don't kill people. Be a good person and stop rooting for your favorite football teams.
Yeah.
And that's all the time that we have for today on Alex rants about how terrible the world is.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I mean, yeah, the world is not great. I've not thought that for a while.
But the thing is, it can always get better. And you have to be that change. No one else is going to do it for you. I'm sorry. If you're waiting for the next, superhero to come in and save the day, you're going to be waiting a while. Because guess what? Yeah. Every person that you've ever looked at who has changed the world, they had to get off their ass and do
shit. Back to
religion. Change the world?
Only God helps those who help themselves.
Exactly. So if you're tired of the way that things are in America,
your local IHOP staff either.
Correct. Don't be a Karen.
Ah, damn! I can't do that.
Go vote. I know it's such a terrible thing, but go vote. I don't care if literally you live in a red state and you're going to vote Democrat. Vote. Yeah. Make your voice at least pretended to be heard.
I know the state I live in does, and I know a lot of Democratic states are. Your job legally has to give you time to leave to go vote. It's almost always just an hour, which is not enough time to vote. But
I think Illinois law is 2 hours.
Yeah, it's better than nothing.
Right.
I literally never try when I'm working because it doesn't matter. 2 hours isn't enough time.
Note to the editor: cut out Illinois. Don't need people knowing what state we live in. We're just narrowing down our geographic.
We've already talked about we live in Illinois.
Yeah.
On podcasts already.
Editor, take out me saying to take out.
You got it, Chief.
No, leave it in.
But anyway, yeah, I mean, obviously voting is very important. I know it doesn't feel like it, but please vote. Like, even if it's just, a little bit of your free time, just please vote. Like,
vote for something.
Yeah. Stand behind something.
God, you really want to make...
Hey, spoilers, everybody. Hey, get in real close. Okay.
I'm listening.
Posting on Reddit does not change anything. It doesn't matter how much karma you get. Posting on Reddit does nothing.
I post on Reddit all the time. How does it not change anything?
It gets like 40 upvotes.
Did you see all the upvotes?
Yeah. Anyway, okay. I think we're actually out of time here because we've been doing this now for like an hour and 20 minutes.
Didn't even get to talk about the topic I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, literally.
What did you want to talk about, Dan? What did you want to talk about?
I wanted to talk about we're going to do story time and talk about injuries and how they happen to us. Our
spoilers.
Listener could learn more about us.
Spoilers. Dan has been injured in gruesome ways many times. Other Alex has been injured in slightly less graphic ways a couple of times, and I have not been injured many times.
Whee!
But we'll save those stories for next time. I'm sorry, guys. It's getting pretty late. I gotta head out. And we'll see all of you on the next episode of Midwestern Goodbye. Have a safe trip home.
Later, guys.
Watch out for the deer.